Hello, everyone, again. Thank you for tuning in to the Karuna Chronicles, and I'm Don. In the last couple of sessions, we've been looking at how basically, without ever identifying it as such, but how basically that we can go about changing our lives and to become the real person that we want to be. Now, of course, we have grown up our whole lives with focusing on the impermanent part of our nature that we experience through our mind and through our senses and through our wants and desires and our attractions and so on. You know, all the choices that we make in the impermanent realm, we think define us as human beings, and partially it does, because that is our outward nature of expression. But our inward nature of expression is immutable and eternal and perfect. And so having a composite nature or a dual nature here, what we're looking at here is how we can access this interior part of us, or this perfect part of us, and express that perfection as we unveil it and as it becomes evident to us through the external part of our nature. So a good example it would be that if we are liars and we come to the realization that lying causes suffering, and we choose not to lie because we do not want to cause suffering, there's an example of compassion and coming forth from our immutable body to our external body by the cessation of lying, because we don't want to cause any pain or suffering to others. As we go along this path, we find that one of the byproducts is certainly personal happiness, and not just the happiness that one derives by buying a new car or a new house or getting a different job or seeing a rainbow in the sky. All of these things are wonderful, but they are impermanent, because the rainbow goes away and the house will need a new roof in some years, and the new car loses 40% of its value as soon as you drive it off the car lot. No, I'm talking about the happiness that we can see in others. I had a wonderful experience once where a friend of mine asked to have her child at my house. She wanted a home birth, and the home birth doctor practiced about 150 miles away from where she lived, and he was only 30 miles away from where I lived. So he said he couldn't possibly get to her house in time to deliver because it was her second child. So there needed to be some kind of an accommodation. She came to my house. I watched the birth live, which I had never seen before. And I watched the joy on the face of the father and her and the other person in the room, the doctor, and in myself. And it was hard not to have this mudita. Mudita is the third of the four immeasurables, and it's sympathetic joy. It's the joy in seeing the happiness of others and wanting them to have this joy. And even if it's an external joy, it's still joy. And we want to have empathy for the condition of all other beings, whether that be regardless of what the condition is. And we want to find joy within ourselves to share with everyone else and participate with everyone else in the joy, however manifest it is in them as we experience it. So in other words, the sympathetic joy is something that is completely unselfish. It is joy for joy alone, happiness for happiness alone. And since sympathetic joy is part of our intrinsic nature and is constantly there, then it's constantly available to us. And as we experience it in ourselves through our activity, as we change our activity from being a polluter of sorts to becoming a contributor of happiness to others and to ourselves, then this joy bubbles more and more to the surface and is more readily shareable and more readily experienceable, if that's even a word, with others. So we can share their experience with the true joy that they're having a moment of happiness or an experience of happiness. And we can see that even if this is an impermanent situation, that this is a good thing and that we can participate in with our whole hearts, always. That's really important because in our ordinary life, in our ordinary mind, normally when we experience impermanent happiness, we take this as a victory of sorts. I got a new car, man, I feel so good about myself. That doesn't include anybody else. You know, people who ride in your car and see you having the joy of ownership of a new car on an impermanent basis may look at it and go, oh, that guy's full of himself. I don't have a new car. You know, there's no sympathetic joy there. If you just have the experience of impermanent happiness and you just quietly share that with others, that's a step on the road to looking at your own immutable, eternal, sympathetic joy and being able to share that with all beings. And this is, again, very, very important because we don't want to deny ourselves or regulate our experience of sympathetic joy, nor is it something that is in and out or fly by night or experience by experience based. No, it's always there. So look at the pathway you're establishing. You're seeing that we are a composite being. You're seeing that we have choices that can eliminate the causing of suffering to ourselves and others. We are seeing that we have the choice to constantly benefit others. We are seeing that we have a pathway through the continual motivation of bodhicitta that all beings have enlightenment and that all beings be free of suffering. So these things set up the process and the availability and the ability to experience sympathetic joy. And we can see that however it manifests in others. If it manifests for a minute in the experience of a new car, or if it manifests for a lifetime in the experience of seeing your son or daughter born, that's a joy we can share in and not be envious or jealous or anything like that, but truly participatory in someone else's happiness and joy. And that removes the boundaries of the impermanence of what we feel in some ways and what we experience. If our joy, if our happiness truly is only temporary for something, it's still happiness, however impermanent it is. And we want to be able to realize that and see that that's emanates from here. It's not just based in something external to us, but it emanates here. Keep looking at that. Keep seeing it. Keep practicing what we've discussed so that as you see the change in your own life away from the causing of suffering to the beneficial life that you can lead, and as you see that this beneficial life produces happiness and joy. And as you have empathy for all other beings in their expression of happiness, like, for instance, when your dog comes up, when you come home in your brand new car and you get out of it, and the first being there to greet you is your dog, and he's so happy, he's wagging his tail, he's wagging his body, he licks your hand. That's joy. That dog loves you, or he's giving you all that he can from his ability to express love and joy. Take that and rejoice in his being and his ability to do that, and match it, exceed it, participate in it, constantly involve yourself in the sympathetic joy of others. Okay? Thank you again for watching, and I encourage you, if you find benefit, keep coming back. If you like this video, hit the like button, and if you want to find out what's coming, hit the subscribe button. We want this to be an open forum, so we welcome your comments and questions, and we'll endeavor to answer them as quickly as we can. Again, thank you very much.